We'll go straight into this first session, which is looking at Scotland's digital strategy. Our first speaker, Kay Brown, is a past president of SOCITM and head of ICT South Lanarkshire Council. The title of her talk is Bringing the Digital Revolution to Local Public Service Delivery. And as Kay and I were discussing earlier, if there is going to be a revolution, it ain't going to be overnight. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kay Brown.
Good morning. I'm not going to give you all the answers to this. This is a story of the possible and the challenges. It won't be a revolution. It won't be something that just happens overnight due to a sudden uprising, and hence the reason for this kind of cuddly warrior at the bottom. I think this will come more by happy stealth than revolution. A, B, C, and D. Digital. But what is digital? I think there's an incredible number of definitions around about digital. Everything from the digit through to the definition, which I found quite useful, which is from Gartner's Digital Edge. It goes beyond process automation. It will transform processes, business models, and customer experience by exploiting connections of systems. It will capture and include all the technologies that we've now grown to love, like smartphones, cloud computing, remote sensing, which is a very upcoming trend, any of you who look at the trends thing. And it's really here to stay, or it's going to be here for a while. So I felt that this was a useful definition of digital that would sit underneath. It suddenly struck me when I did the ABC and then thought D for digital. We could have analog, we could have binary, we could have computings, we could have any number of A, Bs and Cs you cared to, but this is the current one, the D for digital. So, why is digital relevant to public services? And I've put the word local public services. It gives us new ways, so another technique, another tool to understand and address the increasing citizen demand and their expectations, more of which later. It meets what is a perceived growing demand for digital interaction. It unlocks a lot of things that belong to the community that we don't actually utilise properly just now. It gives us the means to absolutely change the outcomes in some of our most important areas, such as social and healthcare, and on things like waste. It allows us to look at, and I'm sure somebody will mention this later, things on policing. It gives us the connection, albeit digital. So that's why it's relevant. But there's a huge challenge. There should actually be a capital C in here. I'm into things like this. There is a perception out there in the public that we are all the same, that the public sector is the public sector is the public sector. The common theme is that all public services are delivered locally. Why should the public have to understand whether it's health they want to talk to, local government, central government, DWP? And anyway, if you ask them, and certainly where I work in Hamilton and Broad Lanarkshire, they would say, well, it's just the council. That's who does it. You know, it's the council. That's where you go for public services. So there is this perception that there is one door, not necessarily correct. So, but do we know actually what our public want from us in this digital age? Do we know what they want to actually talk to us about? And these little things at the bottom. Lots of people still want to come through our door and talk to us. Many people still want to telephone us, whether from a smart device or a traditional phone. Some people do actually want to digitally interact with us. But lots of people also still send us snail mail and expect that as their correspondence. So this is the challenge. And I think if I could refer, and I'm sure most of you will have seen one of these documents, as a follow-through to the McLennan Review of ICT in the public sector in Scotland, each sector has prepared its own strategies. And they have their own boards. So there is a local government ICT board, there is a central government one, there is a police one, fire one. and a health one. And every single one of those strategies has a digital work stream in it. So there is an acknowledgement within the way ahead for ICT in Scotland that digital forms part of that. So the second part of the challenge, and I make no apology, this is stolen from the Government Digital Services, that is the UK Government Digital Services strategy. The challenge is to provide digital services that are so straightforward and convenient that all who use them will choose to do so. And I want some audience interaction here. How many of you tax your cars online? Ah, digital inclusion, here we go. How many of you do your car insurance online? Interesting. I can share with you the fact that 80% of people who insure their cars do so online, but under 60% renew their road tax online. So that's a challenge. It's just an example. I said earlier, we don't actually know what people want. I don't think we know what people want. So therefore, we need to engage with our community. And actually, it's a good place to start. It's all very well for us sitting in our digital delivery empire saying, well, we know what you want. I don't think we actually do know what our citizens want. But also, what do they want and what's in it for them? The proverbial carrot. Why would you do it? Why would Joe Public choose to interact with public services digitally? There's got to almost be something in it for them. Either, well, we all do our car insurance online, as we saw. We do it because it's probably cheaper to do it that way, and you get the comparators. So there's got to be something like that in public services. They want to go online, we believe, but they need a device to go online. They either need access to a device in a public place, they need something to engage with the channel. Another statistic, and it's interesting, in Glasgow, where we currently are, has a very pervasive broadband, high-speed broadband, but only 54% of their citizens use online services. So that begs a question, is it because they can't afford the digital device? Is it because the public services that they want aren't being delivered? Or is it for something completely different? And that's, again, back to do that. One of the things that will provide a challenge is people will need to be able to register for services, basic services such as just straightforward information, not personal information about when does my school close, etc. like that. You might need to register to access it, but you don't need any form of authentication. If people, and as part of the community engagement, if people want to be able to pay bills online, look at their council tax balances, etc., they will need authentication, and that itself will bring with it a challenge. There's been several attempts to authenticate people online, and there's certainly a working group in the government just now looking at a single authentication portal to allow the public to access government services from transactions. However, it's not quite as doom and gloom as all of that. There are some examples that I'll run through that might just actually cover things that might encourage people to become online, although maybe the first one isn't the best one. There's the next lot of individual electoral registrations coming on. There's certainly a move to do much of that online, and that might just encourage people to register. And then maybe we'd get higher turnouts at votes. Tell Us Once is, at the moment, a programme that's been running across the UK, and it means that you only provide your details once, and then it's shared. So therefore, in the sad events where people unfortunately die, and when it's notified to the public sector, they would then share that information with other back office systems, to put it bluntly, so that therefore you don't get the embarrassment and the distress of people writing to tell you owe money when you're actually deceased. It would allow you maybe to take a process that said, well, that person lives in house where there were previously 2 people, so therefore single person discount on council tax would apply, and it would happen without them having to do anything. Digital libraries, a huge increasing requirement for this. Those of you going around public libraries will see more and more stuff is enabled to be delivered digitally. There are more e-books, there is more access to on everything. Certainly the City of Edinburgh have been doing an enormous amount of work on digital libraries, and it's worth having a look at that. Lifelong learning. I was at university a long time ago, and I noticed with my child that when he was at university, it was all digital. You know, we didn't go very often to university, kind of a couple of days a week if you were lucky, but they had access to enormous amounts of learning ability stuff that was on things called Blackboard, and in fact sometimes they even did their exams online. They were timed and everything else. Really good. We need to mobilise our solutions. Some of us have got very good solutions. If I could say that certainly the advent of apps, you know, the new word apps, has made a huge difference. I think certainly the digital natives, the younger generation, couldn't live without these apps. There's an app for everything as far as I can see. But so therefore our challenge will be to mobilise what we've got to make sure they're fit for purpose and so good that people will use them. Transactions, again, why would you transact? We all go to the ATM, don't we, to get money out the hole of the wall, those of us who still use money. Cheques are a thing of the past, really. So there's a whole pile of efficiencies around about transactions. What do you need to do this? Next generation broadband, sorry, that's the shorthand term for that. Although, even when it's there, it doesn't mean to say that it's the answer, as I've already said in Glasgow. You need something so that people can get into hotspots, via street furniture. Certainly people are putting kind of connections into street furniture, so you could be sitting waiting for your bus doing digital. Those who are excluded are a major challenge. I think on one of my earlier slides I said that we'll never get everybody online, we'll never get everybody digitally. There are people who are physically impaired, either due to eyesight, mobility, hand dexterity, all sorts of things, who will find digital impossible. So therefore you can't only deliver digital, you've got to have some form of assisted digital. People who have cognitive problems of confidence and memory, socially excluded people in poverty on their own, we need to be very aware of them. And amongst all of it, there is this technology, the pace of change. I suddenly stopped and thought, when I was doing this, about the revolution, the androids and smartphones and everything else, and tablets. Who would have thought that 2 years ago? So I don't know, and I don't think many of us know what 3 years from now will bring in this challenge, but we will still have to deliver services down whatever the next thing is. What we're doing, assisted digital, I think that local public services are well placed to deliver them. If people think it's the council that does it, that's where you should be living. So we're going to have to join up an awful lot more information, share more information behind, so that we can deliver to all the people who want us delivered to. People especially are nervous about the use of some of this technology. Not obviously the people in this room, but other people are very nervous of it. And it's interesting, we've just conducted within the council where I'm employed a pilot with home carers, and the average home carer is over 60, if I could tell you that. They're women who walk from place to place. This pilot was really interesting because we thought they'll struggle, and there was a fear of the unknown. The vast majority of them got their grandchildren to help them suss it out. So they told them what to do, and once they had got it, this thing that they do, they think it's great. Very interesting, and I think at the end of the day, we're doing a lot of this because we're trying to do more with less, to do things smarter and to save. And this particular pilot that we carried out met lots of home care needs. It was a pilot. We have removed the devices from the people now, and they are somewhat distressed at this because they didn't get paper in the post on a Monday morning telling them where to go for the rest of the week, and the postage costs £120,000 a year. They didn't have to phone in to say they'd arrived. They just pressed a button on this tablet and it said, I'm here. Here's my geographic locations. They then had access to everything they had to do for the client. It was up to date and it was all done in real time. And if they didn't turn up, alarm bells started to go, not just from their point of view, but from the patient's point of view. So what I was trying to explain by that is we had a group of people who we probably would have thought would have been not ready to engage because they weren't digital natives, they were digital immigrants, to use the other term. Technology came to them rather than with them. But it was really, really successful. Or we think it was. We've just got a business case to write now. So the challenge, and I think the digital revolution, how service design can benefit from embracing digital. Down the left-hand side, I've suggested that we can be faster, we can be more efficient, we can certainly be more joined up so that we have one place that the public sector can go to. More accessible. We can be more open all hours. We can be never closed, always on. We can be more engaging. We can talk to people. And we should be doing more co-design. This is a new trendy term, co-design. And it's about trying to work with the very people who are going to consume your services to make sure that they are fit for their purpose and the things that they want to do. Some examples. Apply for, pay for, report functionality for public services. But I'm going to say something which is, why should we do it, for example, in local government terms, 32 times? Could we not have one way of paying for everything? We use the bank automated clearing system to pay everything, and that's one solution. That's maybe a challenge as well as an example. People could manage their online accounts. They could get email alerts like you get from the normal commercial providers. You could look at your last statement, etc. You could register for services, for alerts. You could interact with information online to support decisions. You could actually go online to co-design and co-create solutions with, these hack days, that type of thing. You could do stuff round about that. Uploading and sharing information, and here I'll move into things like more text, more video, more data, social media. Social media has got a huge power in this place, but when it comes to things like transactions, we need to be desperately aware of the security around about that. But it is a way, it's a good communication channel. It will engage with the people who like that as a communication channel. We can use, through all of this stuff, enormous amounts of data and analyse it. Data analytics we can use to uncover new understandings of needs. I saw some fascinating stuff from a business intelligence person which took lots of stuff from Twitter and Facebook and social needs and prisoners' records and proved things like if you want to put a child into foster care and they're of this age and they're at this part in their schooling, and in your patch, they're better to go into that street and with parents of that socio-economic grouping in your thing, and that will give you a chance of success. Absolutely mind-blowing, but you need to be able to analyse it. So, finally, 4 key principles. Customer services. If we do digital, it will improve the customer experience. And if you improve the customer experience, savings, those things we're all grasping for, will follow. You will need to do service redesign. Not so much in the back office with the old crank the handle back office systems. You need to do some work on end-to-end first principles so that this digital front end will deliver to the people. Engagement. Use digital first for your engagement with citizens and customers, and I think that will bring its own reward. Look at ways of working internally as well for digital technologies, sharing, internal collaboration, all of those things will help. Self-service brings with it huge advantages internally. You know, why should you print your payslips? So, no challenges here. We've just got to deliver it, but it will be, in my opinion, slow, but hopefully surely. Thank you.